Are you struggling to understand your business numbers? Are you wanting to take your business to the next level? Well, each week here on the Local Small Business Coach podcast, we dive into your business to help you not only understand the business numbers that matter, but we will discuss how to use them to increase your profits. Hi, I'm Tammy, and I'm on a mission to help our badass local business owners take their business to the next level. So if you're a badass or a badass in the making, let's get this party started. Hey, badass business owners, welcome back to the show. Today, I'm going to change up what I was going to do. I was going to talk about one topic, and before I started to record, I was going through my email, and I came across this question, and I was going to answer it. I'm still going to answer it, but I thought, oh my gosh, I should do this right now as an episode, because then I can get out all of my thoughts to help this business owner in one shot versus just a quick email. And I can always do my other topic next week. So I'm going to do that. Now, I haven't gotten permission to use their name or their business or anything like that. So I'm going to be a little bit general to start with. I'll let them know that it's so they know. But I think it's something that definitely helps a lot of people, not just them. But I think it has the ability to help all of you guys, regardless of where you're at in your business, because I think that sometimes in their particular case, it has to do with the family business, and it has to do with a family business that was doing very well at one point, and it's kind of started to slip. And also during that time that it's starting to slip, because it's a local business, this happens with everybody. When your business starts to slip in a local community, the thing that goes is your reputation. Because if people are used to a certain way, they start kind of whispering behind your back going, oh, I used to use them, but blah, 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 blah. Or did you hear da, 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 da. You kind of get this community where they love to talk about you, and not for the good reasons. People love to be able to harp on anything negative, especially when we get to social media, because people love it's so funny because I laugh in my community, and I'm sure your community is the same. They'll sit there and they'll say, oh, we need X, Y, and Z. But then the ones that are there, they'll bash them down. And I love it when people get on there and they say, look, you guys got to quit bashing businesses if you want to attract new businesses, and B, you kind of need to let the business know what the problems are so that they can fix it. And when they do fix it, let them have the ability to improve and get better and win our business back. And so I think that this topic, even though it's going to be geared towards a certain business, I think it really will help a lot of you guys, especially if you have had your hiccups and you have had to bring yourself back from a situation where your reputation may not be stellar. And for those of you that are thinking about taking over a family business, I know I have quite a few listeners that actually are part of family businesses. And in some cases, they're the fresh blood, if you will, coming into the business, and they want to make some changes and do some different things. And that is actually one of the hardest things to do, is take over a family business or kind of come in and try to make those changes, because you have fresh ideas and new things that you want to do that you just know is going to help the business. But yet, if your parent, especially, or your grandparent, usually it's the closer generations to you, they're very stuck in their ways. They feel that they've been very successful doing it, what it is that they've done. They don't think that they need to make changes. And that makes it even more difficult, because it's not necessarily that they were doing anything wrong. They just didn't necessarily adjust the business to go into the future to what's happening. And by the way, that's a very critical piece that I want to make sure I don't forget when I'm answering this question. We have to make sure whenever we take over anyone's business, and I don't care if it's a family member, or maybe you're someone that hopes to inherit the business or buy the business from the person you currently work for. The biggest thing I can tell you that you've got to make sure you do is to make sure that you are very respectful of the fact of what it is that they built. It is their baby. It is another child of theirs. And in which case, we have this natural instinct that we want to protect our family. For example, if you have a brother, sister, or a child that is a pain in the keister and screws up and mucks up, maybe it could be something where they just got a bad attitude. Maybe they became a drug addict. Maybe they're an alcoholic. Maybe they're just whatever they are. They just gone the wrong direction. What's interesting is we can bash them all we want, but the minute someone else does, we want to defend them like crazy. This is like, it's that family thing that comes out in us, that papa bear, that mama bear, that sibling bear, if you will, that wants to come out and protect it. So when you're taking over a business or trying to have a bigger influence in the business with the people that have originally started the business, you've got to be respectful of that, because anything negative that you say is going to be met with resistance. So for example, in this question, let me kind of step back, explain the question a little bit. I'm going to kind of highlight it. But the one thing I want to make sure I don't forget is the fact that you always respect the person who's building that business. So the way that you approach it to make some of the changes that need to get made, it's really critical that that you're constantly saying, man, it's amazing what you've built. I can imagine. I can't wait to be part of this change in this process. You really have to do it from a collaborating kind of point of view. And the easier, it's not easy, definitely, but the more you can make them part of that decision making or them thinking it's their idea. And sometimes you have to make changes and just let it go, or recommend them and sit on them for a little bit, let them percolate. And then, they'll come back and they'll go, that thing you were talking about X, Y, or Z, why don't we try that? They kind of have to buy in, but they have to buy in at their own pace. So it's really important when you're trying to make changes in someone else's business or a business they built, that you've got to take them along for the drive. So you'll still get from point A to point B. You're just going to take the more scenic route than the direct approach. And that's what's very frustrating to us, because when we come in and we're hungry, we know that I want to go from here to here, and we want to get there the fastest way possible. And unfortunately, the family member who started the business or the person who owns the business, they want to take that scenic route. So I just want to make sure I say that before I forget it. So let me kind of step back and talk about the question a little bit. Basically, they've come into the family business and they have a certain specialty that they do. And the business was very successful. And it's been in business for, it looks like, it's been in business for a while. It looks like they've had a rough few years. So maybe the last 5 years or so, it hasn't been going as smoothly, and the business has been backsliding, and they've lost not only business, but they've lost clients. And that's a really tough one, because as you know, as you lose clients, you're also losing sales. And the question that they're asking is, how do they get these clients back and start to rebuild that client base? And at the same time, turn around their reputation in the community. So part one has to do with the fact of gaining those customers back. So I'm going to come back to that one in a second. The other thing they talked about is they have listened to the podcast, and we've talked about the different marketing and using real estate agents and advertising and whatnot. By the way, and they ask if it works even in their situation. The things I try to talk about on here, by the way, for everybody, should work in 99% of your guys' businesses. You just switch it out. Like I said, when I worked for Home Depot and I was in this meeting, and I totally remember this, and it's always resonated with me. The founder of Home Depot, in this room, he said, what, guys, we may sell hammers and nails, but at the end of the day, you are in a people business, and you can substitute those hammer and nails or anything else that we teach you and use them in any business. And I have absolutely found that to be true, is at the end of the day, every single one of our businesses are dependent upon having customers and clients. And everything we do to win them over is the same, regardless of the business. And the majority of the marketing techniques and the way to get to people are all the same. Yes, absolutely. Numbers are the same from business to business, whether you're a Fortune 500 company or a little company. You may not need the fancier reports, and you may not have as complicated of a business, but at the end of the day, it all comes down to sales, cost of goods, expenses, it was your profit, and the people that you use to help get there, and the customers you sell to. It is the same across all businesses. So absolutely, everything that you hear and we talk about will resonate with every single one of you guys. To the degree to which you use it and how successful it will help in your particular business really comes down to how you utilize it, tweak it for your particular business. So I do want to make sure that I cover that. One of the other things he brings up is his father's ego, and that really goes back to what I was talking about a little bit ago. Is it's not so much that they have an ego, which they absolutely do. And here's the thing. Your dad is a badass. Your dad built this business, and he cares about it because, like I said, it's his baby. So he's going to have an ego. And at some point, you probably have a little one now, and it's going to get even bigger as you continue to take that business to the future and to the next level. And look at it differently. Even though it feels 100% like ego, step back and approach it more from a passion for the business that he cares about. And yes, absolutely, he's going to think his way is right, and that is that's not going to change right away. This is where you have to massage it from behind the scenes to help him realize that, yes, while he knows a lot, you know a little bit as well. And you want to blend and think of how powerful you guys can be together, taking what he knows and coupling it with what you know. So you kind of have to stroke that ego a little bit and bring it with you and partner him up and just talk about how you guys can be really good together by putting your knowledge together. So I know it's going to sound easier than what it is, but you will get better at it and better at it the more you try and the more you approach it for something different. Because right now it's probably very frustrating to you, and it really puts you off. You just have to understand that it's just a passion. Look at it not as ego, but as a passion for the business and what he knows. And it will be frustrating, but I think that you'll find different ways to be able to work with that. It will get better. Now let me just make sure I go through the question one more time, make sure I don't miss anything. Okay. The last part on here just really talks about the fact that he needs his father's help in implementing these ideas that he has, and that his dad's struggling to let go and advice. Okay, so let's kind of come back a little bit more into this. So first off, we've already checked that we have to respect what it is that they bring to the table, and the fact that it's their baby. We talked about that. The second part is, let's go back up to the top where we talk about the customers and losing customers. It is not going to be easy per se to get those customers back, but it is definitely doable. And one of the hardest things to do is to get people's trust back when we've already lost it. If you think about it, it's that way in life as well. You know, we trust. There's a saying about how it takes a lifetime to earn someone's trust and a minute to lose it, kind of a thing. Well, our customers and clients are the exact same way. Now, that doesn't mean we can't get them back, because I'm sure in every single one of your lives that you've had a relationship where it was built on trust and something happened. It could be something really small that maybe you told them a little lie and they got frustrated, they got mad, upset, they left, but they eventually came back. But the relationship is always different, right? They're always waiting. You hear about people that cheat on someone else, and when they are able to get past that trust and come back, but the relationship always has it's kind of like when you break a plate and you glue it back together and you have super glue. You know, the plate is still a plate. It's back to being a plate, but the structure of the plate is not as strong as it once was. And you have to be a lot more careful with that plate because it can easily break again the second time. So when we've lost our relationship with our customers and we're trying to build that back, you have to treat it just like you would that plate, because in that broken relationship from that trust factor that was lost, you absolutely can get them back. And you do that by letting them know of the changes and letting them know you have hurt them. It all starts with acknowledging, saying, hey, you know what? I know we probably haven't been the best at different things, but we're getting better. We're improving. Now, do you have to go out there and say, hey, community, I know we've screwed up and we're going to change? No, you don't need to do that. But here's what you do. The very, very first thing that you have to do before you say anything to the community, you've got to make those changes internally, because it does you no good to say, hey, look, we've changed, when the reality is we haven't. It all starts inside first. So the very first thing you have to do is, between yourself, your dad, or anybody else that's involved, any other employees, you don't mention any, but I'm going to assume you have other employees that work for the business. Everybody's attitude towards customer service has got to change. So we have to make sure, first and foremost, that the reason that people have been driven away gets addressed first. So it starts with, one, attitude of the people in the business. You know what? Customer service has to become the number one focus of every single person. People will use a business. We all have businesses in our community that for some reason we can't understand why they're still in business. Maybe they do shoddy work, but a lot of times one of the reasons why someone with shoddy work stays in business is because they're great at customer service. So they're great at fooling customers that they're really good at what it is that they do, because they hide it behind the great customer service. If you're doing shoddy work and you have poor customer service, then people are going to go away. So you've got to make sure that you have great customer service. The second part is you've got to make sure that you're not doing any kind of shoddy work, that you have the best quality of product or service that is being done in the community. So you have to fix those two pieces before you go too crazy. Before you can win them back, you've got to make sure that those pieces are fixed. Now, the third part that goes along with that, a lot of times what causes poor customer service or for things not to be done really comes down to processes. And reading in your question, when I've read through it a couple of times, one of the things that stands out to me is I get the feeling that you feel that there are some systems and processes that are broken within the company that are causing some of these problems. And that's where you're running into the frustration with your father being able to make those changes because he doesn't want to make those changes. So part of what you have to do is you have to ask yourself, what if you could fix just one of them? You might have a list of 20 that you want to try to fix, but if you come at him with all 20 of them, he's going to get his feathers up. And like I said, he's going to try to protect his baby. So what I would do is narrow down saying, if we could just fix this one thing, it would make a huge difference in the way that we're doing it. And what you're going to have to do is you're going to have to build the case and not say, look, this is what's screwing up. It's going to say, hey, I've been diving into some numbers and I notice that a lot of times when we lose people or when they get upset, it seems to come back to this. What do you think we should do? What ideas do you have? I've got a couple, but I'd love to hear what your ideas are. You're going to have to approach it with the softer gloves versus just wanting to box about the whole thing. But I would start, if I was walking into your situation, I would identify the number one thing that is causing us to lose customers. And I would work on that one thing. Because what's going to happen is the minute you can prove to your father that that's making a difference, he's going to be open up to a lot more of your ideas on other changes that you can make within the business. Because a lot of times we have it, like I said, we have to pull them along for the journey. If someone doesn't want to get here, I'll give you, this is going to be a weird example. Most people always want to go to Hawaii, right? I know it sounds like it has nothing to do with this, but a lot of people's dream and goal is to go to Hawaii. They've never been to Hawaii. They've seen pictures of Hawaii, maybe watched TV shows with Hawaii, but they always want to go to Hawaii. Well, I was one of those weird people. I never had any desire whatsoever to go to Hawaii, did not want to go. But I had two friends that I was really close with that wanted to go to Hawaii. So they're like, hey, we're going to go to Hawaii. We're going to take a vacation. We're going to go to Hawaii. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to Hawaii, but I wanted to spend time with my friends. And I'm like, okay, fine. So we get on the plane. Now we're going to go and stay in Maui. Now, for anybody that has ever been to Hawaii, Maui is a beautiful island. But when we flew in to Hawaii, because then you take one of the islands and then you hop over to Maui. But anyway, so we take the flight over there. And I'm like, all right, I'm just going to rest, relax, whatever. It is what it is. So we get off the plane and you spend the day there before you go over to Maui. And we get off the plane and you know what? And I used to travel for work. So I'm like, okay, it's all right. It's nothing, blue sky. I grew up in Southern California. I see blue sky all the time. Didn't need to go to Hawaii to see blue sky. So I go there and, it's all right. I'm not thrilled. I'm whatever. And it was neat because we did go over to Pearl Harbor, saw that. I had a lot of fun doing that. But I'm still not understanding what everybody's passion is with this whole Hawaii thing. Just don't get it. So anyways, we get on to the next plane and we're going over to Maui. And I'm sitting by the window and we're flying in. And it is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. And in that moment, before the plane even landed, I had my aha moment. In that moment, I realized how beautiful it really was. And needless to say, the rest of the trip, I really enjoyed it. I could understand why people loved Hawaii. My whole attitude towards Hawaii changed just because I had to go on the journey. I had to have the hiccups. I wasn't happy in the beginning. The very first stop, I wasn't happy. But as things started to unfold, I started to understand what it was that my friends and other people saw in this whole Hawaii thing. Now, I know that's a weird analogy, but if you think about it, that's kind of what we go through when we're going to make changes or we're trying to help someone else make those changes. We have to let them go through the process and discover for themselves what it is. People could sit there all day long and tell me how great and awesome Hawaii was. And my first impression wasn't buying into it. But I slowly discovered for myself what it is that people liked. And when it comes to making changes within a business and making changes within a family business, it's very much the same thing. You kind of have to slowly get them going that direction. And then as it starts to unfold, they'll buy into it. When they start having these customers and clients come back, they're going to start seeing the passion that got them loving the business in the first place. And that's really what you're going to be doing with your father, because your father it doesn't sound like your father's going to be stepping away. So what you want to do is, I would even ask your father going, hey, when you started this business, what did you love the most about it? What was the passion that really drove you to do it? What may happen is your dad may have also lost some of that passion for it. And that's very common with business owners, especially when they get deeper into the business, because what they were excited about and really lit their fire, if you will, in the beginning, they no longer do, because it has to do with, they start doing the parts of the business that they don't really love. Some of you are going through this right now, is that, your business isn't as fun as it once was. And it's because you're doing parts of the business that you don't find fun. So you want to do that. You also want to start tapping into clients and start talking to them and reaching out to them and asking them, hey, how can we turn this into from, 3 or 4 star service? How can we turn this into 5-star service? What would you love to see from us? You may have to go back and reach out to some of your past clients that, used you on a regular basis, that no longer use you. Just talk to them, find out what it is, what drove them away. Because here's the thing. They at least have used you. It's actually easier to get back some of those customers and clients because they already had a passion for you versus trying to go out and get cold new customers. Because the other thing is you have to get the past customers to stop, hurting your reputation out there. People tend to, referrals, we talk about referrals are one of the best lead generators that you have, but it's also one of the best lead killers that you have if people are out there talking negative about you. You probably aren't as bad as you think you are. It's just you're not getting that repeat business, or your business is not growing, and your business may not be growing because of internal systems, more so than it is even with a reputation. Because a reputation usually comes down to poor service or poor products, poor quality, in your case, installs or workmanship. So you want to make sure, like I said early on, you've got to make sure that you fix those 2 things right away, that customer service and the workmanship, because that's going to help with the bleeding of losing people. Then what you do is you build on how do you get new people. So first and foremost, focus on why are you losing people, fix and repair that, then work on building new. Because here's the thing. If your foundation, the core of getting the people that you're dealing with today, doesn't get fixed, then you can bring in all of the new people that you want, all of the new customers and clients that you want, but it's not on a sturdy foundation and you're going to lose them. So my big advice to you goes back to the fact that you've got to fix anytime you want to repair the reputation of anything, you've got to fix that foundation of customer service and the quality of the products. When I bought my Baskin-Robbins, it had only been open for a couple of years, and it had a horrible reputation in the community. The kids would sit on the counters, they would bang, they would give away ice cream to their friends, they were rude. I remember when I was buying it, I would just go get some ice cream and sit and watch. And I was shaking my head and I'm like, oh my gosh, this business totally has this reputation and it is well deserved, because I lived in the community. I just didn't frequent it as much because it just wasn't my thing. And I was like, oh my gosh, I totally get it. So I knew from the beginning, the very first thing I had to do is I had to make sure that, these dipping cabinets that looked like crap and nobody had cleaned them, I was a fanatic when it came to keeping those dipping cabinets clean, and that people knew that the ice cream that they were going to put in their mouth was nice, clean, and handled properly. I knew that I had to get rid of the majority of those kits. I didn't get rid of all of them because there were some redeeming values. I had to retrain them. I had to set new expectations. Some of them didn't make it, but I had to work on that whole experience that people were getting, because the people that were already still coming in, I had to fix them first, because I knew they would be my biggest advocates, that they would go out there when people would be bashing the business, or people would get on Facebook, or they would say, hey, you don't want to go there because it's terrible. They would be wouldn't be me going, hey, no, I promise you I've changed. It's under new leadership. Please come back. Please come back. Instead, I would have these customers and clients that were already coming into the business going, oh my gosh, no, trust me, they've changed. Everything's cleaned up. If you haven't been in there lately, you need to go again. I love it there. My family loves to go there, blah, 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 blah. Here's the thing. I had the customers and clients that would go out and help my reputation turn around. It wasn't just coming from me, it was coming from them as well. So this is why I say go back and fix and make sure that your current existing customers and clients are having a wonderful experience, because people are going to listen to their experience more than what it is that you guys say from the business. Because if you've already hurt your reputation, they don't really care what it is you have to say. You're that cheater, if you will. You're that person that let them down, if you will. But if other people start saying things, your family and friends think about it like that, and they start saying you've changed and you've gotten better, don't we listen to that more? If we've had a personal relationship that has gone bad and other people start coming to us going, no, you really should give them a try. They've really changed. They're remorseful. They've done this. They've done that. That means a heck of a lot more than that person saying, I've changed. I've gotten better. So you really need your existing customers and clients to stand behind what it is that you're saying. Now, listen, folks, I know I'm a little bit all over the place with this one because I am passionate about this piece of it because I've lived it. I've had Home Depot stores where we had to turn around the reputation in the community because we've damaged it. It is a long road, but it is definitely doable. And I also understand when it comes to a family business, how it's extra difficult, because when you take over an existing business, you can purge and get rid of the people that are those roadblocks. Well, when it's a family business and the family member is still in the business, or you're hoping to buy that business from them at some point in time, I know how difficult that is. And like I said, I've probably answered a question similar to this one 5 or 6 times from people that are listening to the show. I get the fact that it's difficult, but you have to understand they've busted their butt to build that business. And the very first thing you have to do is you have to figure out, how do you get them in the car? And they may not be 100%, just because you get them in the car, they may not be 100% sold on the experience that you want to give them, but it will unfold and they will fall in love. Just like I did with Hawaii. I only went to make my friends happy. And my initial part, it was very bumpy. I wasn't thrilled, and eventually it opened itself up and I was in love as much as they were. And your parent or your grandparent or your family member or whoever is the main driver in this business, take them along for the journey. Let them have a little bit at a time, and don't try to change everything at once. You can have the 15, 20 things that you feel you need to do better, but you need to pick the one that's going to make the biggest difference and give them that aha moment to where they buy into the changes. You need to find out and tap into what it was when they were passionate about the business. How do you bring that joy back to them? How do you bring that fun back to them? How do you reignite that, if you will? Listen, this is a wonderful question, and now hopefully you can see why I wanted to make sure I did this as an episode, because I think it's going to give him, I wish I would have gotten permission first, but just like all entrepreneurs and just like you guys, I'm eager to get in there and make a difference and make things happen. It's the curse of being an entrepreneur and loving what it is that we want to do. We want to jump in with both feet. So I apologize for that piece, but I think you guys kind of got the gist of the entire thing. It doesn't matter what the business is. It really doesn't. Business is the same across all parts. And if you are out there and you're struggling to build back your reputation in your business, make sure you go out there and you work on the fundamentals. Customer service has to be top notch. Quality of products and services and what you do has to be top notch. Otherwise, everything's going to fall apart. You got to make sure that works. And if you're dealing with a family member, you've got to bring them along for the journey. And then you build upon that as you go. But, it's a difficult situation. And I will continue to stay in touch with this particular individual, because I obviously want to know how that journey ends. And I'm going to encourage this individual to make sure that you check in, because the audience now is invested in your journey also as well. So love to hear some of the things that you do in the future to help turn that around and kind of give us some check-ins and let us know how it's happening. But I just wanted to take a few moments to talk about this. So if any of you are faced with having to help turn around a situation in your business, in your community and reputation, just know, fix it internally first, customer service and quality of products and services, and identify what those processes are that need to be addressed to help make that better. Because you might give fantastic customer service, but if it starts with the phone call, when they call into the business to set up an appointment, it's a horrible experience before they ever get you. It honestly doesn't matter how great that customer service is when you get to their home or they come into your building. If they can't even get a hold of you to start the process, then your customer service sucks. So you can be the best customer service person in the world, but if they can't get a hold of you to set that up, doesn't mean anything. It just automatically kills your reputation when it comes to customer service. Okay. The people that get through, they love you. The people that can't get through think that you guys suck. So I don't know what this particular business's initial issue is, but for example, to me, that's always one of the very first things, is that onboarding, if you will, of the customer. Is it a great experience? I was talking to a group of people the other day, and we were talking about a specific business, and overall that business is doing really well, but they're getting a really bad reputation with their person who answers the phones and how they come across, and they come across rude, or they're very short with them. And it's hurting this business owner, and this business owner probably doesn't realize, or if they do, it's in the back of their mind because it's a family member and they want to make, they don't want to hurt that business, that person's feelings because they care about that person. But in the reality is they're going to have to address it because it is starting to impact the business now. Let's face it, a lot of our local businesses are family-owned businesses, or there's a family member working in it. One of the toughest things I ever had to do was to start firing my family from my family business and letting them go. Some came along, some made changes, and some people just aren't meant for that. So there are some family members that it's like two peas in a pod. They're perfect for each other. And then there's other ones that, there's a lot of tension because one doesn't really want to be there. I could talk about family businesses and different things till the cows come home. So if you have a family business and you are struggling, or you want to bounce something off of me, feel free to shoot me an email at Tammy@localsmallbusinesscoach.com, or you can go straight to the website. There's a question thing on there at localsmallbusinesscoach.com. But I wish this business owner the best. I do think it's fixable. It's just, you're going to have to since your father's so ingrained in the business, it is going to take you a little bit of time, but just focus on one thing at a time and taking them along for the journey and reignite what that passion is inside of them. And then you can do all of the other great ideas that you have. Just start with the basic stuff that you can make sure your foundation is really, really strong. And then you'll slowly get those people back and whatnot. And there's a lot more behind that, but we can talk about that offline. All right. With that, everybody, I am going to go ahead and start wrapping this up. If you want to be able to have connections with other like-minded individuals and bounce questions off of them, don't forget to join the Facebook page, Badass Local Business Owners. Come join us because there's times when people will put in a question that has to do with their business, and a bunch of other business owners will jump on that and help give you their 2 cents and their perspective. So this way, not only do you get my perspective, you'll get other business owners as well. And, every once in a while, you never know where that aha moment or that someone who can empathize with what it is that you're going through will help you out. So once again, if you do happen to use Facebook, go over to just go up to the search function and put in Badass Local Business Owners. Come join us, come be part of the group, and we'll be glad to work with you there. All right, I'm going to go ahead and get out of here, and I will talk to you on Thursday's episode. Know your numbers, and we'll talk then. All right, bye for now. Hey, badass business owners, before you go, just one thing. If you ever feel like you're alone and you would love to be with a like-minded group of individuals, head on over to our Badass Local Small Business Owner Facebook page. We have no spamming, no advertising, anything like that. Just your questions, mine, and we just kind of help each other out, grow our businesses, and share knowledge. You can feel free to know that you're in a safe place and ask your questions of people that are actually going to care about you. So once again, head on over to Facebook. It's the Badass Local Small Business Owner page. You can also hit the show notes, and it's right there. Once again, it's going to be stuff and people out there that care about you and helping you grow your business.